Hello everyone and welcome back to another Pilates from Home class. Today is going to start off in standing, so if you bring yourselves up into the centre of your mats, bringing the inside borders of the feet together to touch and just turning both of those toes out and bringing the heels out just to get that nice hip distance apart between our feet. And we're going to start off with a little walking exercise, so just lifting through our left heel and then transferring over to our right heel. So try to keep the movement nice and smooth as we warm up into those ankles. Lots of clicks and pops, nothing to worry about. Try not to jerk and twist and pop out through those hips, just try to keep nice smooth movement. Transferring the weight from one leg over to the other. Pushing up onto the toes. Going to add in the arm movements as well, so as our left leg lifts, the right arm swings forward and then vice versa. Thumbs leading the way, just taking those arm swings, gently getting those arm movements a bit bigger each time. So start to make their way all the way up to the ceiling. Big arm movements, keeping that smooth transfer of weight from one leg to the other. And then let's slowly start to bring those arms back down. And smaller arm movements each time. Until we're back to where we started. And then let's plant those arms back down to our sides, pushing those heels back into the ground. Circle both arms up overhead now. Bending through those elbows to bring the palms to the top of the head and a shrug both shoulders up, making sure those elbows are out in our peripheral vision. Push the shoulders down, reach those arms up and circle them back around. So let's repeat that again into our corkscrew exercise, warming up through the shoulder girdle and the upper back. I'm going to be trying to exaggerate and make those movements nice and big. Shrug those shoulders high before we push them down, reaching out with the arms, circling back round. Don't forget about the breath. Deep inhale. Bring those hands down, shrug and lift, push down, arms out and round. Final time. Reach and all the way back down. Good. We're going to circle up through that left arm now. So take a little sideways bend, not going too low. We're still warming up. We're going to take half a circle round, so just slowly rolling round. Let those arms go. Release that upper body. And then gently stacking back up one vertebra at a time. Shoulders roll back, head comes up nice and tall. Swapping sides, so right arm circles up. Again, a little sideways bend, the other side. Slowly drawing around in front, release the arms and the head. Up tall, let's repeat again. Up and over. Gently crawl around. Side. Slowly crawling around and I'm curling back up to standing. Lovely, let's bring ourselves slowly down onto the mat. We're going to come down into a long sitting position to start. So soles of the feet down on the mat, bend through the knees. Hands come into the back of the knees. So we come gently down into our spinal roll down and up. So we're going to slowly bring ourselves into a gentle C-shape. C-shaped curve, lowering the upper body down as far as you can control and then gently coming back up tall again. Good. Exhale as you go. Inhale to come back up tall. So just keep it slow, feeling each part of the movement. Really trying to get that nice C shape through the spine, through the vertebra. Good. Gently down. Brilliant. This time as we go, let's hold it there. So just holding it static if you can. Option to reach both arms out in front of you. Nice deep breaths in. Make sure we're not holding onto that breath. Let's go 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're slowly using the hands down onto the mat. Going to let ourselves roll all the way down onto our backs. Setting up our starting position here. I'm going to start with some nice gentle hip circles. So to begin with, we're going to lift our left leg into our single leg tabletop position and then gently extend out at the knee. So you might need to drop it a little bit lower if it feels more comfortable for you on the hamstrings, but keep it at that comfortable height as we draw a small circle round with the leg. So make sure it's the whole leg that's going, the movement's coming from the hip, it's not just the ankle turning. And we're painting a small circle on the wall or maybe on the ceiling if you've got some really good height through that leg. Rest of the body stays still, supporting legs staying nice and still. Not holding any tension through those shoulders, so make sure we're lengthening through the collarbones. Shoulder blades are melted down onto the mat. Good. Couple more in this direction before we stop and reverse it round, so repeating in the opposite direction. You might find one way feels a little bit more easy or natural than the other. It's quite normal to have that. Try and keep them as small as you can control. Good. Let's just take 2 more circles round. While we hold it still, slowly returning it to our single leg tabletop. So take that bend through the knee, bring us back to that nice right angle. We're going to bring both hands behind the head here to come into our crisscross. So we want to bring the right elbow across to that left knee, breathing out as we go, breathe in to return back down. So keeping it nice and slow. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. So the leg isn't moving anywhere. The leg is static, just holding that single leg tabletop position as the arm and the upper body twists round to try and bring that elbow across. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Good, let's take 2 more reps. Slowly back down again. So release the arms back to the side and slowly floating that left leg all the way down to the ground. Let's repeat that sequence on the other side. So right leg lifts into our single leg tabletop before we straighten out through the knee, pointing through the toe, straightening that leg. Hold it there as we take our hip circles on the right side. Nice small circle moving around with that leg. Again, make sure that movement's coming from the hip joint in the groin, so it's not just the ankle rotating, it's the whole leg that's moving here. Again, make sure we're checking in with the upper body. Make sure we're not bracing ourselves, holding any tension. You might start to feel those shoulders coming forwards and lifting away from the mat. Try to keep lengthening through the collarbones, relaxing the shoulder blades down into the ground. Okay, let's reverse that circle round. So repeating now in the opposite direction. Keep control of that movement. Trying to maintain that same height with that leg as where you started. So try not to let the leg lower and drop towards the ground as it starts to get tired. Let's go for 2 more circles here. We hold it there, reversing it back into that single leg tabletop. Take a nice bend through the knee into that right angle position as we bring the hands up behind the head Taking our crisscross on this side, so exhale to lift, to reach and rotate that left elbow forwards towards the knee and back down. So inhale as we lift, exhale as we lower. Sorry, exhale as we lift, inhale as we lower. I'm telling you the wrong breathing here. So breathe out as we lift and crunch, breathe in as we lower back down. Good, keep that leg still, try not to let it drop. Let's take 3 more here. 2, final 1. And gently easing down to the ground. Let's lower that right leg down with control, releasing the arms down and take a gentle rock from side to side with those legs. Just gently easing off through the hips. Good, and back up to the center. Now a little workout for those arms. Let's give the legs a little rest. So let's bring both arms up, palms to face each other as we come into our arm circles. So thumbs are going to lead the way as we lift both arms up over the head as far as we can reach. Trying here not to flare out too much through those ribs. So try to maintain that neutral spine position, keeping that little gap between the lower back and the mat. Pulling the belly button in towards the spine as we circle both arms round towards the legs and bring them back up through the center. Arms go back, circling round towards the legs and back up through the center. So trying to concentrate here on the abdominals, keeping strong through our centers, trying not to let those ribs flare and keeping the shoulder blades melted down into the mat as well. If you're feeling really comfortable here, if you want more of a challenge, we can bring both of the legs up into our double leg tabletop as we take those arm circles, just to challenge the balance and control a little bit more, make you a bit wobblier. Keep the circles big as you can. Inhale as they go over the head, exhale to bring them back round. Let's take 1 more in that direction. We bring them back to that starting position. Reversing round now, so they're going to go down towards the legs first, circling up round towards the head and back through the center. So again, option to keep those legs lifted. If you start to get tired, feel free to drop them back down to that starting position again. Focusing on those ribs, focusing on the abdominals. Good. Let's take 1 more circle round. We come back to the center there and then slowly floating those arms down with control to the ground, melting those shoulders blades back down into the mat. Let's come to have a roll onto our side now. We want to take that bottom arm out to support the head and neck. Bringing those legs nicely stacked, one on top of the other. Take a gentle bend through the knees. We're going to lift and hold the top leg away from the bottom supporting leg. So we bring it in towards our chest now. So not our standard clam exercise. It looks like we're going to start that way. We're going to bring it in towards our chest and then push it back and extend that knee and hip behind us. Good. So drawing it in towards the chest, crunching in and pushing back behind. Good, so it's like a marching type action. So if you were standing up, that leg would be coming in towards the chest, like a march, and then pushing back out behind the body. So squeezing through that top glute muscle. Try to imagine that the leg's floating on top of the coffee table. So it's nice and de-weighted, maintaining that same level away from the ground and supporting leg the whole time. Good, let's just take 2 more here. Final one. We let it float back to the starting position, hovering away from the ground, slowly lowering it back down to that supporting leg. And then we're going to go into our reverse clam here. So we glue the thighs and the knees together as we rotate that foot higher than the knee, working in some nice internal rotation at that hip joint. Good, let's just go for 2 more here. Final one. And releasing all the way back down. Let's swap sides now. So I'm going to just change ends of the mat. Exact same sequence on the other side. So setting up that starting position to begin with, making sure you've got those feet in line with the bum, stacked one on top of the other. Hand comes to the hip. We're going to draw in that left leg now towards the chest, crunch it in, and then pushing it back behind as we squeeze through that top glute muscle and push that leg behind the body. So same sequence again. Don't forget about the breath. Make sure we're not holding your breath. Try to relax down the bottom supporting leg to help give you a balance. Draw that knee in tight. We push it back away. So again, thinking about it just drawing along the top of the coffee table. Good, let's take 2 more here. Final one. Bring it back into that alignment, floating and hovering away from the bottom supporting leg. Lower it down with control before we again come into our reverse clams on this side. So glue those thighs and knees together, rotating that foot higher than the knee. Good, let's just take 3 more here. Final one. And releasing all the way back down. Let's come and have a roll onto our front now. So just setting up our starting position here. Make sure we've got our feet and legs hip distance apart. We're going to use our hands stacked one on top of the other, just to form a little head support, a little cushion for the forehead. Tuck that tailbone underneath. You might want to pop some support from a cushion or a pillow underneath the belly if you feel that your belly comes into, or your lower spine comes into more of an arch or a curve. So we want that neutral spine position just as we have when we're lying on our backs. So tuck that tailbone underneath, engaging the glutes and the abdominals to help with that. And we're just going to slowly lift the head and neck away from the ground. So just hovering it slightly, maintaining that same eye level. And gently lower back down. Good, repeat again. Exhale as we lift. Inhale as we lower. Exhale and lift. Inhale as we lower. So try to keep control of every part of the movement, ensuring that chin stays gently tucked in towards the chest, just to lengthen through those muscles at the back of the neck. Okay, if this feels enough, maintain this exercise here. If you want more of a challenge, follow me to the next level as we lift the arms as well as the head this time. So arms keep that same Cushion position, but lift and hover away from the ground for a few seconds and gently return back down. Exhale as we lift. Inhale as we lower. Exhale and lift. Inhale and lower. So exactly same thing. Just adding a little bit of extra weight to the movement for the lower spine. Make sure the feet and legs stay completely relaxed down on the mat. Maintaining that neutral spine position. Good, wherever you're at, let's just take 2 more. Final time. And releasing all the way back down. Slowly bringing those arms out now. Keep a bend in the elbows. Bring the palms of the hands down to the ground. And we're just going to gently push up now into our cobra. So coming up into our mini cobra on the forearms if that's enough. Or up onto our full cobra on outstretched arms if you want a deeper stretch. Ensure here that the hip bones are pushing down into the mat. We're keeping the legs completely relaxed. Arching through that lower spine. Opening through the front of the body. So through the abdominals, through the ribs. Pushing those shoulders away from the ears. Deep inhale here. And on the exhale, slowly uncurling back down. So the bottom ribs come down first, through the middle, through the upper part. Chin and the forehead down last. Good. Take a pause there before repeating again. Inhale as we curl up. Slowly through the upper body. One segment at a time. Holding that stretch again. Deep inhale and slowly lowering down through the exhale. All the way back down. I'm going to gently bring the right hand in now to form another cushion for the head. Give the forehead a little bit of support as we reach around with the left hand to grab hold of the left foot. So you might feel that you can grab the ankle, you might actually be able to grab the foot itself, and we just want to draw that leg in, draw that heel in towards the bum. Stretching through the front of the thigh, keep the hip bone glued down to the mat again. Hopefully you're feeling that stretch into the quad muscles. Nice relaxed breaths here. Before we release that leg all the way back down, swap inside, so circling that left hand up. The left hand now comes to form a forehead for the forehead. Comes to form a pillow for the forehead as the right hand reaches round to grab onto the right foot. Same thing on this side, so just drawing that heel in towards the bum, stretching through that right quad muscle. Hopefully you're somehow managing to follow and tell what I'm on about here. Talking absolute rubbish. Nice relaxed breaths here, really releasing and relaxing into this stretch. Keep those hip bones pushed down into the ground to open through the front of the leg. And gently releasing off that foot, slowly lowering it back down. We're going to use our arms now to push us gently up and bring ourselves back into a nice child's pose. So really working on some nice flexion now through that spine. For a change, we're going to bring the arms down to the side of the body and just let those shoulders really fall forward. Bringing that head down to the ground. Then just gently rock the head from side to side, massaging the forehead down into the mat. Just slowly rocking and looking over to the left And slowly rocking and looking over to the right. Before we bring ourselves back to the centre and then gently uncurl back up into a seated position, taking your time with that movement. Let's gently bring our bums back down to the mat, back into a nice seated position. Let's take the legs out in front of us. Again, if it feels a little bit much on those hamstrings, you might want to sit onto a block for this, or just onto a cushion, or anything that you've got nearby that will raise the height up a little bit so that we're not straining and pulling on the backs of those legs. But if it feels okay, then try and do it, as it's a great challenge just for stretching the hamstrings out anyway before we've even moved anywhere else, just sitting in this long seated position. Okay, let's just flex up through those feet and ankles, so just pulling those legs back, pointing those toes up to the ceiling, and then gently pointing down through both of those toes, stretching through the front of the feet as we point the toes away from us, pulling them back again, and pointing them down away, and pulling them back. Good. Now keeping those toes pointing up to the ceiling, flexing through those ankles. Now crawl the fingers down towards the toes, reaching for the legs, for the ankles, for the feet, for the toes, whatever you can grab hold of. When you've gone as far as feels comfortable, deep inhale through the nose. And on that exhale, just try to reach that little bit deeper into that legs. Holding it there. Back up the legs, back to our starting position, up nice and tall. Now this time we're going to point through our toes, pointing both toes away from the body. We're going to do the exact same thing and just notice the difference of how it feels here. So crawl the fingers down towards the toes again, reaching down for the legs, the ankles, the feet. When you've gone as far as you can go, deep inhale and exhale to slowly lower further into that time or different part of the legs or the body that you might be feeling this stretch in. So we just target different areas, different muscle groups. And slowly crawling those fingers back up, back to our upright seated position. So relax those feet and just take a few rotations, circles around with the ankles in both directions. Lots of clicky clunky bits going off for me. Let's bend through those knees now, bringing the soles of the feet together, just letting those knees fall out to the side. If it feels hard work, push those feet a little bit further away from the body to allow that stretch to go deeper. Or if it's feeling easy, draw those feet in closer to you to make it a little bit harder. Really trying to relax through the insides of the legs and just let those knees fall out as far as they can. Good, and then gently easing them back in towards you. Finding a comfortable cross-legged seated position just to finish with our final 3 deep breaths. So let's bring the hands to the base of the lungs, to the base of the ribs, spreading those fingertips, fingers wide to sit around and hold on to those ribs. As we take a deep inhale, really focusing on getting that lateral and outer expansion here, right at the bases of the lungs. So big breath in through the nose. And all the way out through the mouth. In through the nose. And out. Final time in. And and out. Well done, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another Pilates from Home class. I hope that you all enjoyed that one. As always, feel free to drop me a message or an email. Let me know your thoughts and feelings and feedback, or if there's anything that I can help you with, then I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can. Thank you again so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.